as well. You can see the Big are struggling.
I thought they were actually going to fall back and save because of the way the money was going to shake down. It would have made sense to do so. Instead, they got a couple of kills and thought, hey, maybe we should actually try this one out. Like, we're not too far away, but doesn't wind up working. Money is now quite low for Heroic. We'll have to save. Big's money isn't that great either. They have to rebuy 4 players.
I think Heroic knew that Big's economy was terrible. That's why the tactical timeout came in. Is like, do we want to force? Sure. And the answer's been given. Yes, they're going to force into this.
Yeah, why the hell not? There's only one other. There's a Galil, a Sig, and an AK in play. The other 2 are going to be on SMGs or a Deagle. So yeah, as you noted, there's definitely a chance to punish here for Heroic.
Of course, the downside of this is if Heroic concede, it's going to be a 2-for-1 at least round for Big.
Yeah, for sure.
So pressure mounting early stages of this second map. The Danes, after conceding the first one, hungry to try and stamp their authority down here on the early path of cash.
They're going to gamble a little bit too on the Heroic side, stacking up Highway in the A bomb site, leaving B pretty vulnerable. Good kill, though, from Stound out in middle. Going to take Tabson down. That's one gun off the board. Mertz pressing A main could get a good timing, and indeed he does, and could even maybe come get that AK in a moment. So it's actually getting quite scary now for Big.
So much mid presence being locked down by Heroic. So the AK-47 is going to trade hands. Now B site has been pretty much forfeit for the CTs. S-Attack will claim the kill onto next. The bomb still hasn't been planted, by the way. They've been just trying to make sure that none of these angles are left unchecked. Now the bomb gets planted. Molotov on to go B. That's a hell of a read, and they're going to find him. Tizian, 1 on 4. There is a smoke and a flashbang being used now. Can Tizian somehow hold on? No. Freiburg takes him out with a 5-7. What a round by Heroic. Not just to win in that very lapsed force buy, but to only lose 1 player and claim a bunch of assault rifles in the process.
Yeah, that went as well as it possibly could have, right? Just having all that presence in middle, catching the boosted player, getting that B flank in. Big actually had half a mind once they felt that B flank coming in by that many players actually pushing the CT squad, maybe try to run truck to A, but they weren't able to accomplish that. Did just settle into the site and plant, but obviously forfeit the round. Money's a little bit dodgy for Big. There's enough if they really wanted to force, but I don't think that they want to. I think they want to take a more conservative approach. So just some utility and upgraded pistols, definitely giving themselves a little bit of investment, but don't want to hamstring themselves for the next round. So a chance for Heroic to keep building up this nice lead here on the CT side. Maybe recover their own economy, which is kind of still in the dumps, to be fair.
I think dump's definitely a pretty accurate term for how Big are feeling right now. And it's not going to get much better for them because the SG is now being used against them. That flashbang spot on. There is one thrown in retaliation from Heroic. It does land on multiple players. Not enough to stop the bomb plant. Got B, going to be forced out of position with that Molotov. Mertz was waiting. This round is done. Big at least got a bomb plant. It's going to tick their economy. They're going to have a very solid buy. They can even pick up an AWP on Tabson if they want. But Heroic will be off to a cracking start in cash. It's going to be a 5-1 lead.
Indeed it is. And you wonder what page of the playbook Big turns to. Again, they are capable of playing a lot of different versions of CS on this map. Whether it be default, mid-control, whether it be fast-paced execs with a lot of utility, whether it be simpler, more gimmicky, aggressive plays. Like, they can definitely go a bunch of different directions, and so I'm kind of curious during this timeout what they're thinking is going to work best. They haven't had Tabson on an op yet, I don't think, so that certainly could be a thought. And indeed, that will be purchased. So I'm sure they might slow the game down a little bit to give Tabson a chance to see what he can find with that AWP. There's not one on the opposite side to fight against, so could give him a little bit more breathing room to feel confident taking certain peaks.
The bomb is dropped at the spot. declaration that Big won't be making any fast plays anytime soon. Mertz tagged up through the smoke.
Ooh, the counter boost.
Yeah, so we've seen Heroic play aggressive through Garage, but we haven't seen the counter boost yet.
Is Mertz gonna get caught falling back is the question. No, Xanteris catches Essa tag though on top of the hut. It's a big find.
Flash out, Xantara's gonna push behind it, landed in the eyes of Mertz, couldn't see anything. His retina's burnt out, but Blame F. His patience gonna prove to be a virtue. As he goes back in for a kill of his own, Stavin holds on. A 3-on-3 falls upon us. That grenade could do serious damage. Next tag down to 9. Both teams will be happy to pull the plug on those mid endeavors. But now Big have their eyes set elsewhere on the B side. Freiburg, Galil in hand, peeking a bit of an off angle. If he had a more beefy weapon like an AWP, that would have been an outright kill, but he's been traded. That won't be good enough to stop the bomb from being planted down. All 4 players pretty healthy overall, and there are nades in amongst this. 2 smokes for the Germans of Godby and Tizian, and a flashbang for Blame F. Replenishing the smoke on CT, gonna funnel their way out of heaven. Blame F is hoping, just praying that someone peeks from the site, but there's no reason for Big to do this. They have great positions, they've got a great crossfire, but Blame F is still gonna come out swinging and land the kill. The bomb is planted for Godby, he's got the SG. Surely there's no hope, but the smoke has gone down. Did Godby just smoke himself off? Salvin, though, is scared in case the push comes in, but still lands the kill. Has he got time for this defuse? It's going to be very close indeed, but he's got it done. Oh, Big once again tripping over themselves.
Yeah, it's hard to really... I don't know, man. It's hard to break that one down. Just, you know, everything was going quite nicely in the 3-on-3, getting that entry trade on the Freiburg really efficiently, getting yourselves a post-plant 2 versus 2. But Heroic just able to sniff it out. Godby falters again in a 1v1, just like Pistol. So a couple of those really close situations seem to be going Heroic's way time and time again. Good pick, though, on this round from Tabson, taking down Mertz, who has really not been a factor at all this game. Usually one of the leading figures of Heroic, really came into his own after being dropped from North. But he has had a quiet start to this one. Xanteris knows there's a guy inside Vince. He saw them break it. A Molotov used to flush that player out, though. Mid-control taken by Big, and they still have a man advantage, so this is shaping up pretty nicely for them.
So, Big having to bounce back after such a disappointing climax to the 7th round. Beautiful flick from Tabson. And elsewhere, Nex has found a kill into Esatag. So Blame F, multiple angles, going to deal with connector push first and foremost. Got B smoking onto the site. Gonna draw away any fire if there's a player peeking from truck. Also allows them to plant in amongst that smoke if they so choose. Which they will. And of course, this plant could be covered from mid, A main, pretty much anywhere. The only downside is, like, you know, quad and squeaky, not so much. But Heroic aren't interested anyway, Dust. They're going to save. So Big are going to get a second round at the very least.
Absolutely. Really well done there. Just kind of reading the situation, understanding after Blame F caught the flanking attempt from Xanteris that the numbers game really favored them to transitioning to the A-bomb site. They've done just that. Tabs and a couple of big op picks. Definitely a big factor in that round as well. And so that's definitely one way to wipe the tears away of the previous rounds, to get an immediate victory afterwards and put Heroic's economy in a tough spot. Not able to bring down any of these AUGs, but again, there's not a whole lot of money for Mertz and an Esatag to spend to kind of support these two rifles. Luckily, there's enough for a drop here. They will be able to get 4 AUGs out and a FAMAS, so not too shabby.
Yeah, being able to save both of those guns there was actually pretty significant, because even if one of those players falls, I don't think we see a full buy.
No, certainly not.
They just had enough to squeak out.
Yeah,
exactly. So it shows the power of a save in a nutshell this round. They'll be opening the squeaky door as The flashbang comes through. No one's home, no one's squeaky. Tizian's a bit more passive. Zantares moving into A main. Feeling out Heroic. They have played aggressively a few rounds already on the CT side, so this is really the power that you get from that, is that Big have to be even more cautious. They have to be more cognizant of potential pushes, and it dwindles away more of their time. It kind of shaves off 30, 45 seconds at the start of the round, just because Big respect the fact that you could be up close, so you could be making moves from garage.
Yeah, Big doing a good job at least getting a little bit of presence all across the map, burning some of Heroic's limited utility. Just going to help them out a little bit later. Making sure that no one's pushing. Gabi will bring that bomb over towards the B side. No one else has really made an adjustment, though. We could see a bit of a fake thrown at A, and then maybe some type of mid-B split seems to be in the cards. As the utility is going down the A bomb side to make it look as though this is an A set piece. And Heroic, they have, to their credit, not rotated. They still have 2 players on the B bomb site, and that'll help now that Stound's gotten a kill to keep them in play. So it's going to not really be the fake that Big were hoping for.
Tizian's doing a phenomenal job of thinning out the herd, but the real confrontation's on B side. Tizian's frags mean nothing if Big can't get on here. 8 seconds left. The first kill meant so much for how this round's going to come down, and there's not enough time. Tizian, he did so much work, but it doesn't matter in the end. Tabson's going to die after time. Just to make matters worse, no, he's not. How he survived that from Estetag, I have no idea, but it doesn't change how the round has gone. Heroic will have a 7-2 lead.
It's one of those things where the fake just didn't apply enough pressure to cause anyone from B to be unsettled. Stound getting that initial kill really helped that along. I think if Stound dies there, then maybe they start to rotate off of B. And by the time Tizian got his 2 kills, it was just too late. 2 B players were confident in their position. Big needed to be able to get those entries with little time left on the clock, and they just couldn't make it happen and die off the timer. And now we see Heroic doing a little bit of a cheeky boost here inside A. Haven't seen them play that position yet. Could certainly catch Big off guard, especially if they decide to go for some type of early A commitment. Now, the solution is exactly what Gabi is doing. Coming up highway, he can spot that boost quite nicely. And then it will be basically off or not. But he backs off, and so still no real telling how much impact this boost might have on the A site.
Sure, smoking highway and then playing some mind games. The vents act as a safety net, like an early warning system for the CTs. As soon as they hear them break, they know someone has to be close. Essetag with the UMP is sat there. It is going to be a 3-player stack, though. Now, typically, UMP is not necessarily fantastic against armor, but when you consider there's no head armor in Zantares, and they could be moving in to a triple stack with a triple crossfire in effect, this could be another heartbreak for Big. You can definitely foresee a way in which Heroic take this round and make it theirs.
Unless Zantares can break CT spawn open, which he might try to do here in a moment. It's going to be Blame F to try to put a stop to that. That could be how the floodgates open. Or they could still go back to A, and the boosted player is the only defense here, but will they check his spot? If he can get a couple of kills, it's still a very good look for Heroic. But look at Zantares. This is a big play.
Yeah, excellent play, but I was worried for Big again because look at how much time they're leaving themselves to execute with. This is why they lost the previous round. They took far too much time before they pushed. This time, no, it works out. No problem. Zantares, excellent double kill from the connector towards B. Essetag close range. He'll be able to take the kill and the AWP from Tabson. Again, if they could save these 2 weapons, there could be some options available for Heroic, but it doesn't look like the AWP is going to be saved at the very least because Nex is there in position to drive out Essetag. Freiburg walking around into heaven. Only 22 health to his name. He may actually get away with this, but a FAMAS will not be good enough to get a buy behind.
No, certainly not. I mean, no one has cash on the Heroic side. They are still at that 1-round loss bonus counter, so no money here. And I mean, even next round's going to be pretty slim pickings, to be honest with you. Like, yeah, they can get a buy next round, but it's going to be pretty limited. And actually, they're forcing up around this AK, so they're putting all their eggs in this basket, really. You lose this, you're definitely full saving next round. And so Big could really look to close the gap if they can fend off this force, which they are certainly still in the advantage in a round like this by a pretty substantial margin.
Yeah, whereas earlier we were talking about how certain scorelines are absolutely as one-sided as it suggests. I think this 7-3 could easily be like a 5-5.
Yeah, there's been so many 1v1s at the end.
Big have had so many opportunities to get more rounds and really break
They've
the
had
economy down
Heroic
of
up against
Heroic.
the turnbuckle so many times economically as well. They've just never been able to deliver that final punch to actually reap the benefits of it, but they might do it just now.
Yeah, this is their chance. This is their moment to shine. If they're going to get a decent half out of this, it needs to come off the back of this round, you have to feel. You can only have their heart broken so many times, their bank balance broken so many times before it is going to start to snap rather than just bend. Freiburg, the only AK-47 at their disposal, and he's made it shine with the kill. And it's Antares who had such a big round in the 10th. That's the worst possible start for Big. They've also taken damage to God B. Only 2 players have nades, one of which is God B, and he's tossed his smoke out. Now, all the grenades are in the hands of Tizian. They need him to...
He's not really in a great position to put use out of him either, to be honest. I mean, there's a couple of pot flashes you can throw from inside so we can try to get them in the A side, but it's not going to be ideal, but that's a big kill from God B. Almost didn't happen. He took a lot of damage, but he does make it work.
But Heroic, 10 seconds to go, and they're getting kills. Mertz from the backside connects onto Nex. Oh no. Tabson, 3 seconds. He's out of there. I'm in neutral. I have no interest in who wins this game. I just want good Counter-Strike, but even I'm getting frustrated with Big here. I can't imagine if you're a German fan, if you're a Big fan watching this game, you must be tearing your eyeballs out.
That's the second force they've lost to, by the way. Remember, it was Heroic earlier in the half who had like a mid-stack with a Deagle and a couple of SMGs and made it work, and now they've done it again. So that really has had a massive impact on the overall scoreboard and the economies of both these teams throughout the half. Like, those 2 rounds, and then not only that, the 2 1v1s got B lost. That's 4 rounds that Big should have had by now, it feels like. And that would be a much different scoreline if that were the case. They're just been getting way too timid in some of these late round situations, man. They seem just so indecisive.
Yeah.
It's not like Gabi to be like that is what really kind of weirds me out about it.
I mean, if you're pushing with 10 seconds to go one time, fair enough. It can happen, but 3 or 4 times? Not quite the same.
Though? Okay, never mind.
Zantares is going to get Blame F, who's just way too over-committal. Got BSG. We'll see. Mertz fended off. Tizian's going to take a bit of chip damage from the grenade, but now it's down to Esatag. He's going to catch him in the backside. There's a flashbang. That was perfection. Thrown in from Freiburg. Next couldn't see anything, couldn't avenge. Now Tizian, with a lowly 33 health to his name, is going to try and clutch against 4, in fact, pardon me, 3 players, but it'll feel like 400 as far as he's concerned. And he won't get past the first hurdle. 9-3 scoreline.
That's just unfortunate because they did get up highway and they could have created an interesting situation because of that, but the bomb was locked away from them. So there was no way to adjust into like a mid-round decision to audible to B as Tizian was trapped. And so nothing comes of that. Heroic now up 9-3. Again, this is Big's map pick, a map they are usually quite comfortable on. Heroic, essentially a new team, with Blame F only being here for a couple of months, just becoming the IGL, and Stown only just being picked up very recently. Again, also, loser goes home. That's the other big thing to think about. Maybe not this map in particular. If you know, Big loses, we still have a map 3, but yeah, whoever loses this is out of the tournament, and way earlier than you would expect, I think, when you think about names like Big and Heroic. You wouldn't have expected them to go out first.
No. Certainly not. Certainly weaker teams in this event. But Big, they are on the precipice of just being battered on this first half and maybe not having enough rounds to even justifiably fight for the second half of Cash. So they've got to start to string something together. Boosting up onto highway box, but Esatag, perfect timing once again. The timing has not been kind to Big. Couple of these 50-50s have worked against them. Starvin, though, with one can back away. There's Blame F, who was also stacked in A main. He gets caught. He tries to transition back to the site. And another chance for Big to strike. Flashbang over. 35 seconds left. Not a fantastic smoke. And Nex is going to try and push the aggression, push the envelope. and Heroic can't deal with it. That's more like it, Big. A bit of aggression, get up in the face of Heroic, make them sweat it out.
So Big still holding on. Even though Heroic has been getting the better of them in some of these force buys, Big has still been kind of lingering around this half. And now they have a 4th round, and now they have Heroic on a full save. So a chance to easily get a 5th. Surely you don't lose a round like this. Maybe you lose some force buys to Deagles and SMGs, but not 4 USPs and a P250 with no armor. Surely not.
Well, we've pretty much seen everything today, haven't we, Dust? So at this stage, I don't know what to believe. It's possible Xantares, though, pierces the smoke, claims 2 kills. He's moved on to 10. 3 players from Big on 10. Freiburg's on 15. He has continued to the pace that we saw in the opening 3 or 4 rounds. But God B, this time it's his turn to sting with the SG. Of course, it was against the full eco, so take that into account. But Big have at least navigated their way through to a 5th round.
I just need Xantares and Taz, and I feel like to kind of come together a little bit more. You can't have Gabi out fragging you. They're supposed to be the stars and the leading figures of this team in the fragging department, so to have them come on point a little bit more. Again, I don't blame them necessarily individually. I think a lot of it has come down to just indecisiveness as a team that's really haunted them, and losing to force buys is just never something that's really acceptable. So we'll see, though. Can they go ahead and pry one more round, get that 6, feel comfortable with this half? Wouldn't be bad considering how things started to keep it that close at least.
I'm surprised God B went for that re-peek on about 3 HP. When he had 2 players behind him that could have peeked first and just kept himself alive with the SG at the end. Maybe the red mist descended, he thought that he was invulnerable. Starving, able to get one. These trades should favor Big overall. UMP for Esatag. The CTs are split. Flashbang will allow Freiburg to go for the peak. I think he may have peaked a bit early because it looked like he was flashed there from Esatag's perspective.
Yeah, they wanted to catch Nex before he got up highway, but they couldn't, and now Nex has taken Blame F down at truck and has a really good post-plant position.
Esatag, though, will dispatch of Nex and Freiburg. Headshot through the smoke. Tizian has his element of surprise. They're going to line up for him. They need this round, Big. 10-5 probably not good enough going through to the second half. This is so vitally important. Tizian's been baited out by that nade and will be taken out from Freiburg. And the Grizzle veteran ends the half on 18 kills with Heroic on 10 rounds.
Yeah, Big did not get as much out of that half as they should have. They should have easily had 7 rounds there instead of 5. And you could argue certainly for even more. A lot of mishaps from their side. But Heroic, to their credit, played really well. Freiburg had a solid half. Everyone really had their moments, to be fair, but it does just... When you watch it from a neutralist perspective, it really did just feel like Big didn't show up to play that half. Not what I'm used to seeing from them.
No, there are a lot of questionable decisions and poor calls. I don't necessarily know if it was God B that was calling poorly or if the team just wasn't following him fully. But as you said, indecision played a big part of that half. So many times pushing with 10, even 5 seconds left in rounds, especially that B round that springs to my mind. Another day, this could easily be like an 8-7 scoreline, even in favor of Big. I genuinely believe that. There were 2 or 3 clutches in amongst about 5 rounds that could completely change the dynamic of this half.
They also lost 2 force buys, so there's that too.
Yep.
And they weren't even good force buys. They were like 2 UMPs and 1 Deagle. Like, ugh.
It's definitely a rough one. It's a hard one to break down, but I mean, all Big have to do now, and obviously you've got God B, who's been around the block many times. Just be telling everyone to calm down. Sure, it wasn't the greatest of halves, but they can still bring this back. They can still win this best of 3 or 2-0 if they can bounce back from a 5-10 deficit. It's not impossible, but it's definitely going to be hard. And it all has to start with this pistol.
Yeah, you definitely feel like that has a lot of extra weight to it. Always important, but now more than ever. Again, they do have that safety net of the third map. They did take the first one, Heroic's pick on Mirage. Third map, if we need it, is going to be the old classic Inferno, of course.
A map that, well, in bygone majors, Big had a lot of success on. A distant memory now, though.
Yeah. It's one of those maps that everyone plays, right? So everyone should feel relatively comfortable playing it.
Yeah, I think it's like a staple of Counter-Strike.
It is, and that's why Astralis' domination on it is so impressive, almost more so than their nuke streak. Is the fact that they are dominant on a map that everyone plays and feels comfortable playing. That's actually a fun little stat. Is obviously Astralis' nuke streak is like the second longest map winning streak in CSGO history, but they are about to have the longest Inferno streak in CSGO history here soon if they win one more Inferno game. I think they're tied right now.
Quite the formidable team. Definitely head and shoulders above the rest of any Counter-Strike team in the world. I mean, it's going to be quite some time before they're dethroned, but focusing on the match at hand, Heroic and Big still have a few points to prove between the two of them. Big need this pistol round. This is so vitally important. If they lose this, their odds of winning cash go down the drain. Going to be a decoy, a fake flash, if you will, but Godby has been smoked out of position. Heroic barreling down on the B site. It's going to be on next. He's at the back of the site by himself. Centaurus now, though, a perfectly placed flashbang. Can he get any more for his troubles? No. But he's keeping Heroic caught in two minds, and they feel like the only way to break out of these shackles is to play super aggressive. But that's going to be Starvin all alone, and Big have done it. They've picked up the second pistol. Game on.
That was just excellent work from Big. Really good use of those flashbangs. It caught Heroic out. They had a great opportunity with the smoke on CT spawn to isolate that B bomb site player and really spiral that one out of control, but those counter flashes just really slowed down Heroic. It allowed Xantares to get that flank in on Vince, get a couple of key kills, and then it just kind of all stacks on top of each other, and Big just snowballs it into a victory, and now they're on to a bye. Heroic, the classic full safety door push to try to get a bomb plant, but I don't think they're going to do it.
Money in the bank for Big. They did lose two players, but the MP9's got the bulk of their kills. We'll be able to replenish, no problems, but it is going to be AK-47s.
Yep. Op out early for Tabson.
That's completely fine as well, you know. If Heroic are going to get two kills, if the MP9s, you kind of want to upgrade those guns anyway. So you're coming across AKs, there's no SMGs for Big. They're totally fine with trading up to the M4s instead.
Yep.
Oh, that timing. A nade slow Tabson down, and then Mertz could just finish him off. That's brutal for Tabson. And that's the AWP as well, by the way. A huge investment has been taken out in the first 10-15 seconds of the round.
Indeed it has. And Heroic will see what they can do off the back of that 5-on-4. Down their new player, playing a solo role just like Freiburg. It's going to be on BlameF, S-Attack, and Mertz to be the opening players. Aim control taken back by Big, though. Luckily, Freiburg is there to catch that and add to the advantage they already had. That could have been a nice play from Big to aggress aim into disadvantage and make something of it, but Freiburg, too good, too wise. Let's go.
This full buy has been a complete flop. Nothing at all for Big to get excited about. Centaurus at least can maybe hold on to the AWP.
It's one of those things where you lose your first player, then you try your damnedest to make a play to get yourself back in the round, and every single attempt you make at making a play all fail. And that's just the round at that point. And you kind of have to go for those plays, though, because if you just sit back and play default in the 4-on-5, chances are you're going to lose. So you kind of have to make something happen, but it just didn't work out for Big. So Heroic will go up to 11-7. Money's very low for Big. So other than this AWP, which may not even get saved, we'll have to see. They're not going to have much to work with this next round, so Heroic can really start building up that lead again.
Typically, a player will save in squeaky S tag with 1 second to go. Finds the AWP.
Feels bad, man.
That is, I mean, that is salt just directly poured into the gaping wound that Big are currently struggling with.
Yeah, it's a rough one. To be fair, they've only really had one crack at this half with rifles, so we'll hold back judgment for now. Obviously, the first half went really awry. They've done well, at least to win pistol in the follow-up to kind of get themselves back on the heels of Heroic, but Heroic can now pull right back out in front in a big, big way with another couple of round victories. And this one seems like a foregone conclusion with Big not even able to save that one AWP, so they don't even have anything to go around to try to make a play with. It's just going to be maybe some P250s and the like, but it should be an easy coast for Heroic.
Yeah, but this is the problem, though. Even though they've only had 1 chance with the rifles, because they're such a high deficit after losing 10 rounds in the first half, they're not going to be afforded too many more chances here. Maybe 2 or 3 more rifles if they lose out from this point. That's why it's such a brutal start to go 10-5 behind. Tizian takes a nade to the face, down to 32. Very low investment, of course, just a P250, a HE and a flash. Chance for Big to try and recover and figure out what the plan is going forward. Heavy presence on the A side. Made in with a flash, a peek. They are going to find Mertz and deal with him. You can see that Freiburg wants to try and stop them from getting this AK-47, but in doing so, he puts himself in harm's way. Does have some backup, and blame F and Freiburg mow down through Tabson and Zentares. That is the round that should be going with them. So it's looking good for a 12-7 lead. Big have their backs against the wall.
Yeah, obviously weren't going to expect much in a round like this. You know, you maybe go for like one gimmicky play, and if it pans out perfectly, you might have a chance, but obviously can't count on gimmicks. Their A main push did not unfold the way they liked, and so Heroic do go ahead and move up 12-7. Gob being next, just kind of chilling out over towards the truck and middle. Not much for them to do in a situation like this.
We've got to question what Big are going to do in this next round. Are they going to just mix it up? They're going to play fundamental Counter-Strike? I guess the fact that they've only had 1 shot at it, as you said, maybe going to be more of the latter rather than the former.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what they decide to do. Team that is very comfortable playing lots of different CT setups. You know, they can play, 1-3-1 mid focus. They can push the sights. You know, they are not limited at all. But it's which option do you want to choose? And it seems like they still want to be careful with their economy here for now. So they will get some Deagles and 5.7s, but still not springing for the big guns just yet. So that just gives Heroic even more opportunity to extend the lead before Big can pose a threat once more.
So it is an interesting one, isn't it? We're kind of curious on what was going to happen next. It's going to be just pistols.
Yeah.
Or 4 HEs, so they can go for that carpet bombing sort of technique where you just pick apart on the map and you drop all the nades, all the ordnance, and you hope that once the shrapnel clears, you've got a couple of casualties on the other team. There's the first one. They're actually outstacking these. That's a hell of a grenade. Starvin and Blaine F have been destroyed by it. Just shy of 100 damage between the two of them. That is a money nade, worth every cent of the $300.
So for now, nothing too crazy from Heroic, but you do begin to see them gathering up over towards the A side of the map, with Freiburg kind of sitting far side of A main. A couple of players will be joining him shortly. A couple of smokes being set up right now by Blame F and Essa Tag to go ahead and lay into this A bomb site. A few members of Big are hanging around here, so we'll see if they're able to do any damage.
It's consistently just chipping away at some of these HPs. There is a way in which Big can maybe make this work, but the two defenders of A have been dealt with pretty convincingly at that. And although Heroic are bleeding across the board, none of them are going to be finished off. So a solid half-buy obliteration by the Danes. 6-round lead and Big. Here we go. And this is what they've been waiting for. The last 2 rounds have been building up to this point. Can they make it work?
They need this round, you feel like. If not, Heroic surely are going to be forcing a third map. Because, I mean, the buy Big would get after this would be nothing close to the firepower they have right now. This is their best opportunity. Heroic looking to change up the pace, falling away from the default. All their forces outside B right now. Lots of utility going off. Big still not 100% sure what's going on just yet, but they do at least have Tizian pretty close by and Vents with 2 players already on the B site.
Smoke's being deployed on the CT. The flashbangs alongside them. There's no chance for Nex to get out of there. Tizian using a similar position to what we saw Xantares in the pistol round. And he is coming through with kills. It's going to be 3 in total. Xantares claims a frag onto Starvin. And that should be the round going with it. Great work by Big. It was looking terrible when Nex died so early on with pretty much nothing in retaliation.
Yeah, how they won that was because they had Tizian and Vents and they had a player checkers box. So though they folded the site, they were able to catch the stragglers at B main that hadn't made it through yet. And then the pressure was on from that point forward. Really great work. Xantares had 2, Tizian with 2. So a good pair right there. That's a big round to win. We were talking about how Big really needed that because of the way their economy was looking and how Heroic were steaming out towards map point. So a big catch for Big to get to 8, but they're still not out of the woods just yet.
Decent nade also tossed out from just underneath the boost, and it's seen both teams doing this quite a bit. It's designated for just behind highway box. So it chipped Xantares back, but Starvin. So gonna be dealt a hefty blow down to 29. Molotovs being deployed in mid. Just going to try and gain some ground before they come in with a boost. Can be Blame F that hops over. Nade there to greet him. Fortunately, it bounced on the box just beforehand. Otherwise, that would have done us so much damage. Tizian, though, going to be underneath the boost. Dealing with the oncoming Blame F. Starvin cuts out the booster of Nex. And the boosted
where the other is.
God B. Yep, but God B is at least going to hold on. With that kill back on the B side, it could afford him a way back. A path back to safety. Tabson is really helping him out, but Mertz has made inroads. God B has the right idea, just not the right position. And Mertz does control the bomb. Freiburg, in the meanwhile, is continuing to be quite the beast on Cash. Getting kills across the board. Bomb plant
in the tracks, man. That kill on Tizian's really halted this retake from Big, and now he's gotten information on another player. It's going to be a standoff. Freiburg can just hold this angle all day long. Whoa! All right. I'm out.
Absent, not taking any chances, knowing that time is of the virtue. It's of the essence. They have to get in here right now. Mertz. There's the first flick, looking for another one. Is he to break the hearts once again? Misses the no-scope. It's ring around the rosies. Both opposites have connected, but it's going to be Mertz that comes out ahead. He's going to land 2 to Townsend's 1. And Heroic are 14 to Big's 8.
That was ridiculous, man. Just 2 Albers no-scoping at each other, close range, leg shots happening. My goodness. Thought I was watching a shotgun fight in a Battle Royale game or something like that. Does go the way of Mertz, though, so Heroic at to 14. Big did have a little bit of money to spare, but not a whole hell of a lot. 3 rifles, an SMG, a 5.7 on Tizian. If they lose this, Heroic are at map point, and Big have no money to contest them going for the victory, really. A lot of weight on Big's shoulders. Yes, they do have a map 3. It's not as if they are out just yet if they take the loss here, but they are certainly a step closer than they want to be.
With a P up, we're going to go the distance in this best of 3. Barring a comeback from Big with a very poor helping of weaponry. And to make matters worse, Tabson goes peeking through on A main. finds himself on the receiving end of a battering from the AK-47 of Blame F. Another boost in. Tizian this time plays aggro in Garage. Able to get one, but not able to escape. That 1-for-1 trade is not going to be worthwhile for Big. They need better results than that. That did a lot of damage to Mertz and Freiberg. Zantares spots the shoulder of Blame F peeking around the corner. Oh no, Nex is rotating. He's moving away from B, and that's where Heroic are moving in themselves. They're giving up this B site, and it's unlikely they can get a retake with the M4 and MP9.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just save out, man. I mean, the thing is, they're probably tempted to go for it because it's map point and because maybe they know Heroic is weak on some of their players, but Mertz has already dealt with the first player attempting, now all on Zantares.
To his name, has no kit, does have some nades. Gonna need to use them to break through this defense. Next player goes down. Oh, Zantares, the Turkish Terminator again! Proving his worth. No kit required when you're battering heads left and right like that. And that is a chance now for Big. That's a lifeline.
That does keep him afloat, man. That is one of those things where you feel like he should have no business pulling it off, but somehow he finds a way. That's just pure individual effort and skill, aim, reaction speed. The list goes on. The individual prowess to, under pressure, figure that out. Keeps Big in the race. Heroic's money's actually kind of depleted on a few players, so I'm kind of curious if they want to just do kind of a half buy here. They have certainly the cushion to do so. But no, the AK comes out from Blame F. This does mean that Mertz is going to be a little bit lacking. Same with Esatag, unless he just goes AK armor and really no utility. So it's not going to be ideal. Still pretty decent, though. Mertz goes with the Deagle. Esatag for a Galil to get utility. So yeah, again, far from ideal, but still not too shabby. Especially considering that Big are relying on 3 SMGs.
Sure.
And everyone on Heroic has head armor.
Yeah, Mert's a little bit more subdued with this buy, but as you say, it's not exactly as if Big are rolling around in money and, you know, double ops with plenty of assault rifles. They're also struggling. They're also feeling this. This is almost another 2-for-1 round. There's not much that Heroic or Big could do if they were to lose this, so either Heroic are going to be steamrolling towards the finish line or Big are right back in this. This is a massive round off the back of a beautiful Zantares clutch.
Yeah, that was really impressive from him. Heroic gathering up pretty early over towards the A side of the map. Utility being set up for smokes on the site. We do have Nex and Zantares already ready and waiting. We do already see some rotating taking place here from Tabson with the AWP.
Zantares feeling it. Confidence oozing through him, coursing through his veins. They're going to need him to pull out some other huge frags. That bomb has just dropped out in a horrible spot. Now Nex has gone back in with the MP9, doing significant damage onto Blame F, and Heroic, they're falling. They're dropping left and right. And Big have done it. Not just that, but they only lose 1 player, so they're going to be able to trade across a bunch of weapons, and they're looking very healthy all of a sudden.
Yeah, that really came down to one, Zantares finding the opening frag, sneaking around the forklift, so carrying over some of his playmaking ability from the previous round. And then second, some really good counter utility from Big. They had some nice counter flashes to really slow Heroic down, buy time for more rotations, get people in more comfortable positions, and get some frags. So that was well played across the board from Big. And now Heroic are the ones that have to suffer the repercussions of saving just a couple of P250s in play here. They're going to try to do a crazy little run boost action, but no one up close from Big. They're sitting back and they're taking these duels at range with rifles.
Yeah, which is exactly where you want to be taking them. Not up close where the pistols can really swarm you, but back of the site, give yourself every possible advantage going forward. And seeing the Big shifting through the gears now, don't look quite as indecisive as before. I mean, plays like Zantares Clutch, it can really inspire a team. It can really give them the kick up the ass that they need motivationally. You know, if things are starting to drop a little bit, if the energy is a bit low, the vibe feels pretty bad, that's the kind of play that gets you fired up.
Absolutely. So I wonder if that'll keep up or not, as we do have guns back out for Heroic. No AWP for Mertz, but AKs and head armor and a little bit of utility. Again, they're going to go for an early commitment towards the A side. 3-door with bomb. You don't see this on full gun rounds very often. This is more of an eco strat, but this could pay out big time as they catch tabs in an awkward space.
Oh, that no scope from tabs onto Freiburg. Wasn't able to double up. The flashbangs now being utilized over the top of the site is keeping Heroic at arm's reach. With a player to the good for Big. It's turning around nicely. It's going to be a bomb plant. But a 2-on-4 with a Molotov that's just been thrown out towards Quad is going to keep their options pretty slim. They're boosted up, but God B seen it. They know where the last player is, and Starvin brave down from multiple angles. It's Antares that gets the final bullet into him, and Big. That's a 2-round deficit now, 14-12.
Yeah, really well done. Tabson gets a kill that I would not have expected. He was getting crazy swarmed on, but still managed to find at least one before going down. Valiant effort. And then Xantares just plays around the smoke so well. Gets a couple of kills. As he's fading back, when Terrace are chasing him, a flash comes through from Big to bail him out. So again, some good team play. Now we're starting to see some sharpness from them on how they're working together and how they're, you know, putting their nades to use. And again, Heroic, not with much to work with in this round. Just some upgraded pistols and a MAC-10.
Be flash out just to make sure if anyone pushed from checkers, they would be fully blind. Gets him a little bit closer to B site. Smoke out from Tizian. Fending off B main. Good. Nade usage once again. Aside of Big. That depleted through a lot of their grenades though. And now the push is coming in. Tizian, only good for one. Big, who've done such a good job in these previous 3 or so rounds, have now got themselves into quite the predicament once more. It's precarious. They're standing on shaky ground. It's beginning to crack. And if Heroic win this, they'll have 3 map points. Molotov to the back of the site. Finally going to spread. Starvin has to move out of position. But not enough to put him in harm's way. He can wait for that Molotov to clear, but Xantares lands himself the headshot. Down to Tabson, 1 and 2 go his way. And they do live to fight another day once again, but it's down to another 1-on-1.
There was nothing comfortable about that round victory, by the way. They were at a disadvantage. That was a 2v3 retake against Heroic, who had picked up guns and had good positions in sight. Like you said, the incendiary they threw in didn't even flush down out of position. It came down to Stound, one-on-one duel with a Deagle against a player on balcony, and losing that really tilted the balance in Big's favor. Still took a brilliant individual effort in the end, though. Man, oh man. Like, I feel like Big has just got to be so stressed out right now. Even when they are getting rounds, it's not coming easy. And they've been playing from behind for so long. They've lost to so many weird force buys, and it almost happened again.
I think this goes back to why we were talking about the fact that Tabson, yeah, he can use the AWP, but he's quite a beast rifler.
Yeah, for certain.
I
think it's also important Xantares has really come alive, man.
Right.
He's at 27 kills now. It wasn't that long ago we were talking about how he was a little bit quiet.
Just want to say that God B has his second AWP. That's not something you see every day.
Nope, it's a little bit odd.
He had a very good spawn for checkers, which is why I think he's gone for this.
Yeah. There really is no true full-time secondary opera on this team, though. It used to be Tabson, right? Now he's the primary, so it's a little bit... Sometimes Xantares will take it. I've seen Gabi do it before. So that's what we have.
I think on the other side of the coin as well, we've really spoke about Xantares and how much he stepped up, and he absolutely has. But for Heroic, it's really only been Freiburg. I mean, Freiburg has had some great rounds, but other than him, no one's really been that impressive. We've had glimpses,
pretty
moments.
Even keel across the board for everyone else. Pretty well balanced.
So if Xantares is teeing off, there needs to be a counterbalance for Heroic. Someone needs to step their game up as well.
This is their next crack at it here, as they do have another full buy. Utility coming out over towards middle. To clear out vents and to establish some mid-presence, but, ooh, that's a big incendiary. Stops the boost from going through from Heroic and kills a little bit of clock, and they're actually running pretty low on time at this point.
Time not looking good. Is starting to dwindle, but they have got the first kill of the round with 30 seconds to go. Tizian flashed out, spots the first player, lands the headshot, looking to make a move around. This is a beautiful play from Tizian. Nearly chips in for a third. Freiburg tagged down at 56. More information gathered. GotB did hit Starvin down to 1 HP. So lucky not to get the kill. Just a slight wall of the box is going to be a nightmare and a nuisance. And you wonder how much that could actually cost Big. Molotov comes in. Is that going to be enough to stop the bomb from being planted? Yes, it is! Alongside the frag onto Freiburg from Zentares. And out comes Tabson, holding on to the AWP. Heroic were too slow, too delayed. And in the end, they didn't have the numbers to make up for it.
The retake incendiary betrayed them last time around, but not now. It burns out, gives Zentares some space. They get the kills they need. And they are just scraping these rounds together just barely, but it is enough. They've tied the game up at 14 all, and now all of a sudden, that map 3 we thought was just around the corner, all of a sudden it's questionable. Big have put themselves in a position to perhaps make that unnecessary. Yes, Heroic do have the money to full buy here. No question about that.
Apart from Mertz, who died after times, had $200 coming into this round.
Yeah,
just enough for a flashbang.
That's the rough part. Here's the other thing. If they lose this, they got not much left to go within the next round either. Like, it's going to be worse than this. So this is their best chance to stop Big from winning this map, is this round here and now. But like you said, Mertz at a big disadvantage because of how that last frag went at the end of the previous round.
And this is what, 8-14? 9-14? Big were looking like they were already out of this map. That Zentares clutch changed everything. Next
those feet were spotted.
Yep. Absolutely saw the feet. A bit unfortunate not to get the kill. Starvin was just jumping around left and right, hoping for the best, and survives. Molotov gets extinguished, but next silences. S-Attack vanquishes him out of this round. Such an important moment in this match. As you say, if Rook leaves this, it's not like they've got much to play with in the next round coming up. Tabson, no one in mid. Zero mid presence. This is looking ominous for Heroic. It's looking like they're going to be bowing out of this round and facing off against one match point courtesy of Big. Mertz 15 health. Not much better for the rest of his team, and they're being sideswiped. Tizian from heaven. Players on the site. Somebody in vent. It's all over. This round is done. Blame F 40 seconds to pull off a miracle. Magic doesn't exist for Heroic right now. 15-14. Big have a match point. What a turnaround this has been.
It really has been, man. And it's not even just the comeback is crazy because of the score, you know, coming back, like you said, from 14-7, 14-8. It's not even just that. It's also the fashion of how these rounds are playing out. So many of these rounds that Big have won, they're winning in like 2v3 retakes and in really tight margins, even at that. So, man, like, you have to feel like Heroic, if they just kind of cheated one more, like just got a little bit lucky on the round, then this would already be over. But Big have just barely scraped these rounds together, but it's still enough. And now they get this push on the A main. Somehow they're not dead. Finally, Blame F gets one back, but it's at a pretty big cost.
Both teams certainly feeling the effects after that trade. GotB, though, up on highway box, peeks one too many times. Not going to get punished with his life. Damage inflicted. Just needs to survive. They have to play
island, though.
Advantage. He is, but he can pull back and help out Nex now. As a result of surviving. And Nex is about to get aggressed on. It is setting up for a retake, isn't it, Dust? The bomb's now been planted. Mac 10 for Blame F. Up close, it's really not that bad, though, especially when you consider a couple of players are injured on Big. But there's a Molotov, a smoke, a couple of flashes, and plenty of kits. Plenty of firepower. Big have every opportunity, every chance to clutch this one. Molotov going to get banked off the wall. That's going to land on Blame F. He has to move out of position, down to the back boxes. Mac 10 nowhere near as efficient at this kind of a range. It drops off really hard against armor. But Blame F has connected the headshot. It's down to GotB. It's a 1-on-2. He's got one. Can the in-game leader pull it off? It's not looking good. He has to tickle the bomb. It's going to be heading to overtime. Heroic stop a 5 or 6 round streak. And we are going the distance.
Of course, it's the retake where Big actually have a man advantage that they lose. They won so many 2-on-3 retakes and then lose to 4-on-3. So that has to be a bit disappointing if you're big. If you're heroic, you're just breathing a sigh of relief because you've been fighting for map point all game long. You let big get to it first, and now all of a sudden you're facing elimination 0-2 in the series, and then they finally squeeze one out in the end. Really well done on the hold on that retake. Again, they had to fight a man behind and still pull that off with some good crossfires from main and sight. And so it does go the extra rounds to decide things here. Will it be a 2-0 for big? Has the comeback effort, the momentum of getting to the extra rounds, put them in position to still perhaps in Heroic's tournament here and now? Or that last little effort from Heroic to keep them alive, will that be enough to drive them towards forcing a map 3? That's what we're looking to find out here. Is it MR316K for this tournament? I'm not 100% sure.
I believe so.
Okay, so that means economy not going to be much of a factor in OT. Going to be able to pretty much buy up every round, so that's good. I actually prefer that, to be honest. I don't like a team having to save third round of an OT half. But I guess it's personal preference. Some people, the economy is part of the game, so you want it to be a part of overtime as well. Fair enough, but let them fight. That's the way I go. Any preference from the vent side of things?
I'm honestly fine with either. I quite like MR316K because I think it allows you to see more consistent buys and more consistent action, and to see what both teams have to offer when they don't have to worry about the economy as much. But I can see the argument of both sides of the coin, honestly. It doesn't bother me that much. It is fine.
So teams just taking a little bit of a breather before they lock in for the OT. Indeed confirmed it is going to be MR316K. So the race to 19 begins here and now. Heroic staying on that terrorist side. Let's see what their first play is going to be.
Even B in overtime is quite the surprise. Big were so out of this map at one point, but Heroic, credit to them as well for showing the tenacity to win that last round when all hope seemed like it was lost. Oh, nicely balanced between the two teams. Nade over onto Boost, but no one is even close.
I think Heroic's going for the boost on truck to try to catch a highway player. That's what it looks like's going on here. So Xantares, will he step out a little bit too far and give that op boost a chance to go to work? Heroic hasn't done that all game long, so it certainly could catch Big off guard, but it seems like they positioned themselves just right to not get hit by it.
One smoke fades, another has been deployed. Gob B tossing that in. Gonna waste valuable time. 50 seconds on the clock. Only one player has lost any health, and that is Mertz, just 4. Goes to show how uneventful this round has been so far. Now the nade's gonna start to be driven in to mid. Molotovs and smokes. Exchange between both teams. Tizian lights up the first kill. And that's gonna be Heroic, who's dropped off quite a bit. Freiberg, the man that dies. S-Attack, though, does battle back with one. Tizian needs to be very careful. He doesn't peek too often, but there is one. Knew his time was numbered. Knew they didn't have too much room to really maneuver around because there was no eyes on the B side. Nexus playing more passive. And Nexus is going to be called upon. Can he hold this? If he can get this kill, that could be the round done. Right here, right now. Townsend's came through with the kill. There's 4 seconds left. The Big have done it. Heroic too slow once again. Not for the first time.
Man, that was actually quite scary because Tizian and the Vince could easily go down on that second peak, but he happens to get the frag and stay alive. Stound does catch him from behind, but he's done his job. He's killed a lot of clock. Remember, that round really comes down to the timer. Next catches one on checkers as well, even though he was getting attacked from 2 different angles. He could have easily been entry'd, and that could have been a bomb plant, and the round goes on, but key kills coming in the clutch from Big keep them ahead. They also did really good denying mid-control for so long with their utility, and now this round opens with Xantares finding the opening frag.
It's all going a little bit pear-shaped.
Wow, what has happened here?
That shot onto God B was majestic from Starvin. After a really rocky start to this round, 3 kills from him have put Heroic in the driver's seat. And Antares Molotoving out. Starvin was caught between 2 players anyway. Tizian's on the CT side of Connector. That's a really good Molotov to get rid of him. But that's only one of many issues, many problems they have to contend with. The next is Freiburg looking into vent, and Mertz with his AWP peeking into heaven. I mean, you've got so much money, may as well go for this. But clutching it is a whole different matter altogether. Tizian not going to be standing alone for long because Mertz will put him down. 16 apiece. Excellent work by Starvin. Those are some unreal entry frags.
Yeah, there's no way he should just be able to run up middle and get 3 kills like that. Like, something has faltered in the big system to allow Stown to just get 2 kills mid and run in the CT spawn and get a 3rd. It's one of those, like, freak plays that rarely happen, but a bit unforgivable at the same time. So Heroic ties things right back up at 16 apiece going into the last round of the half.
Here's Tizian burning alive. Molotov not doing as much damage as I was anticipating, but his AWP certainly did. Blame F will find that out firsthand. Starvin out into mid. Going to be dealt with by Nexu. Doubles up onto Esitag. Big. Not going to be too bothered by that previous round if they can win this one and go into the second half. It's 17-16 in the lead. Of course, 19 is the number both teams are jockeying for. Smoke isn't going to do much for Freiburg to escape.
For Mertz to slip in, though. Look at this. Able to blindside Highway, but misses his chance. Big kill from Tabson.
Yeah, it could have been maybe a way back into this round, but unfortunately he wasn't able to drop Tabson on his opportunity, and so Big will lead at 17-16. 2 rounds away from claiming the victory.
They needed that because Freiburg was trapped, but at the same time he was, catching everyone's attention. Mertz really just slipped in. He had a freebie and just didn't find it. And that decides the round, really. So Big up 17-16, switching sides. To be fair, it was the CT side that was the most fruitful for both of these teams, so it's kind of par for the course that it was a 2-1 half. Heroic can easily do just the same and force a second overtime. Or even still have a crack at winning this game if they can win out.
Yeah, completely agree. Like, CT side definitely was the best, but I think what we saw from Big on their T side was a self-doubting T-half, indecision. Yeah. Now that Xantares has stood things up significantly and the momentum is favoring them, I think we will see a rejuvenated Big on this T-half now.
Also, a lot of Big's losses on their T side were like weird losses to force buys and
Sure.
stuff like that, whereas Heroic's losses were a lot more straightforward.
Well, let's find
I would
out.
tend to agree that even though both teams struggled on T side, it felt like Big's was a little bit better, even though the round count was the same. So we'll see if that plays out that way or not here now.
Yeah, a lot of the Heroic rounds, a lot of the rounds that went to Big were pretty one-sided. Whereas, as you say, a lot of 1v1s, 2v2s, like post plants, force buy losses. Rifles in play, Big did look better overall. But Heroic have got to just dust that off, not think about it, put it to the back of their mind, or out of it completely. Because the task ahead of them is pretty simple. Win from here on out. CT side gonna afford them the luxury of not having to push, not having to worry about the time as much, which was definitely an issue for them.
Yeah, patient play for Big. Big actually tried to go for the same truck op boost that Heroic were fishing for in the last half. Same result. No pick given. It's a very small window that you can actually see someone from that boost to actually get the frag, so no surprise it doesn't come out. Now Big will look to start gathering up and start thinking about what type of map control they want to take, what type of execute they want to set up for as the clock is beginning to get towards that late round. Still in default position, but now they gather towards a spam damage aplenty from Tizian through the door.
Yeah, took some damage himself as well, down to 64. Now the nade's starting to rip on through. But there's no smoke for the cross. Davin can just look straight in, but he's caught in 2 minds. He was looking to the left side of the site where his teammate was watching. He almost got Blame F up on the catwalk. Why is he not watching a main side there? It seems like Heroic may get away with this because Blame F is putting that orb to use, but here comes next. He's had some crazy entry frags so far this game, but needed to go 2 better.
Why aren't Big going, man? When you kill Stound, go. Like, what are you waiting for? I don't understand. They just keep getting caught not passing the red box line. So they're just getting fragged on the side from players' highway instead of using a pop flash or something to actually push into the side itself or get towards quad, do something. They just hesitate for way too long. Like, once you're through the door, you got to go, man. You can't just sit back behind red box.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're effectively in no man's land, and you're just going to get mowed down if you stay there. That's what I kind of called it out. They didn't have a smoke for the cross. They didn't have a smoke for the car. So I thought they'd get obliterated, but then Starvin kind of went too aggressive, got caught. It's a bit of a head scratcher, isn't it? Because you expect teams with God B's leadership to be way more efficient than this.
And decisive. Like, go for it. Like, you've already committed. Like, it's late round. You're running out. Just go. Like, if it doesn't work, fair enough, but at least you're going together, giving yourself your best chance instead of kind of feeding players one by one and getting caught when the utility's already, faded away. Same stuff happened in regulation. So I was hoping they'd make some adjustments, but it's the same old mistake.
Stag. Punch down to 44. This time it's the boost, and this time Heroic. Not requiring any grenades. They did so much in terms of utility over on the boost bot in the earlier round. That Orc is going to give them some breathing room. Not going to feel quite as pressured to make plays. So A site again with 30 seconds to go. We've been here quite a few times already. And there's no flashes, no smokes. And the same result may be coming up. It's relying so heavily on one of these 3 to pull off some crazy entries. Now the smoke has landed for Truck, but it's not going to stop Blame F. That's the bomb down. The round should be following. It seems like Heroic are going to get another map point. Tizian's doing damage, but only 10 seconds left to make it work. And Stavin takes him out and puts him out of his misery. So Big, after going ahead on the CT side, and now eyeing up the very real possibility they're about to lose this map.
Why is the bomb peaking forklift with 10 seconds left on the clock? Or maybe it was more like towards 15, but still. Why is that? I don't have an answer
for you.
It's like little mishaps like that. They add up, man. And I think Heroic's going to win the game now, dude. Like, I haven't seen anything from Big on T-side that inspires confidence at this point. Like, they just keep diddling around for the first 45 seconds of the round. And then they go for an A hit with, 30-ish seconds left. But then they get held up at forklift and red box and don't actually get into quad or into the site. It's happened twice in a row. And it happened all regulation as well.
Yeah, some puzzling moments for sure. And Big seemingly falling into the same traps. Take nothing away from Heroic, though. They have played exceptionally well.
Yeah, sure.
Doing a good job with their counter nades. Stalling the push. But yeah, there definitely seems to be something missing for Big. It's hard to put your finger on what exactly it is, but as you say, a lot of fundamental small mistakes that are creeping into gameplay. And when so much pressure is on you and you're at such a late period of the map, they really do add up, and it can be the difference between a win and a loss. Tizian smoking out just allows him a bit more freedom to peer across on highway. It's going to be A again. This time they've smoked off the highway side. Tabson's going to go for the plant. He's already made a lot of room in. This is much better from Big.
5-on-5 retake. Don't see that often. Let's see how it plays out. It's going to be a bold one, Cotton.
3 Molotovs as well to retake. This is going to be really rough. And Big are playing so passive in A main. Just one smoke neutralizes half of this Big team. They're relying so heavily on the player on quad, and that's Tizian. And now that he's been dealt with, this is where the Molotovs are absolutely brutal. But here comes God B from the backside with his SG. It's putting down the pain. It forces them into 2 separate angles. Doesn't realize that the E-box is about to get pushed. And that's him down. Here comes Tabson. And he's going to be joined alongside next. So Big have got it done. We go into another overtime.
Of course we do, Vince. Of course we do. Big do find a way in a very scary 5-on-5 to eke it out. And so indeed, now the new goal is going to be that race to 22. Same MR3, 16K. 21-21 means another set of extra rounds. The T side has been a struggle for both of these teams. It just feels like whoever's the first team to get 2 rounds on T is going to win the game. That's what it feels like, you know?
Yeah, T's definitely been the weaker of the halves for both of these teams. No doubts about it. And I thought things may change in overtime, but it hasn't really been the case. Bunch of players hitting 30. Antares, Tizian, and Freiburg.
All right, what does Big do? No op this time for tabseN, so that leads me to believe there's a declaration of intent to maybe be a little bit more assertive, to not sit back and boost and wait for tabseN to go for some miracle op shot on a highway cross, but to actually get him more involved in the early round with an AK.
Mertz knows there's a player there, but also a flashbang coming through. Tizian can count himself lucky there was a bit of a brick in the way.
Yeah.
He
read the push was coming, but it was still hard for him to get out of there. He tried his best with the flashbang, but it didn't quite happen for him. As at least unscathed. He does get away, but takes damage. S-Attack, the stones to sit in that fire and get those 2 kills. My goodness.
I think he was a bit fortunate that the Molotov was slightly too far behind him, so he wasn't burning as he was getting the kills, but he didn't know that in the moment. He was just going out. He was like, look, if I'm going to burn to death, I'm taking as many of you with me as possible. And the fact he survived is just pretty ridiculous. Zantares still alive with Godby and Tizian. Tizian, though, just a bullet away from his demise. Freiburg's gonna get spotted by Godby, showing why he likes this SG so much. That first bullet accuracy is so nuts. But with them stalling like this is going to afford Mertz to go for a rotation if he so chooses with an up. He's already pushing into mid. He's just next to Garage. Also allows him sound cues. If a rotation comes in, he can hear it from a mile away. Now they're going to realize that it's a B hit, but the smoke is perfect. There is no possibility for Stavin to get an re-engage through there. Centaurus spinning around, landing headshots aplenty. Out comes Stavin, but he's made noise, and Godby's going to look to try and deal with him. Maybe not required. Centaurus is waiting patiently from Checkers. And the Turkish player again is turning up the kills when it's required. Blainef coming out into the lines dead. And he will be gorged upon by Tizian. Big have picked up the first round of this overtime. And importantly, it's on the T half.
It was looking pretty rough when S-Attack gets those first 2 kills, but Godby still does manage an entry into the B side. Zantares with the key one as well. And so they do convert the ever-coveted terrorist round in this game. If they can find another, it feels like that would be that final push they need to perhaps 2-0 this series. But let's not count the chickens before they hatch. There's still some room for Heroic to fight. Big changing the pace, I would say big time right now. They're already ready to hit A. And they're getting flanked and they're catching it. That's huge from Gabi.
It's going to be a very scary start to this round. But Heroic do have Mertz to thank for bringing it back even. He's been caught by Nex. Maybe not expecting the smoke to clear so early. S-Attack looking for a boost.
Uh-oh.
Molotov, though, is nicely placed. It actually stalls any kind of re-engage. It allows now, after the bomb plant, to people to move back into A main and check this one out. Molotov onto the site too late to really be an issue. Should probably be holding on to that to throw to the back of quad. They still have 2 mollies at their disposal, though. But the counter flashes are solid. It's keeping Freiburg locked down on truck. Now they're going to start to move in. Now they're going to try and test this retake defense that Big are putting into place. Next from Forklift drills into 1, looking for another. Catches Freiburg out in the open. And Big get 2 T rounds back to back. That is worth its weight in gold right now.
Oh, it certainly is. It's maybe going to pay dividends, in fact. That might just be that one little extra nudge Big needed to go into close down mode. Obviously, with 16k start, Heroic still has a full buy here. But they've done the hard part, you have to feel like, if you're Big. You've punched in that extra round that was eluding you for so long. They could even win out. I mean, that's still on the cards, isn't it?
Yeah. No, exactly. A third will almost be a bridge too far, I think. I couldn't see Heroic getting 3 in a row on the T side.
No.
This off the back of a truly puzzling first overtime half on their T side, where we thought they actually might just outright lose. They actually had to save a map point from Heroic.
Yeah.
Things have turned around quickly. Very centralized push for the T's, all clumped around mid. Molotov into connector, flash into a peak. That could be Esatag getting picked off, but no, Stavin is there to help his teammate out. And Esatag can come through with one of his own, make it 2. Could be a 3rd, but Nex is going to make sure the hat trick doesn't come into play. And Tizian is the last to fall. So at least Heroic will stop the clean sweep. But their backs certainly are going to be feeling very vulnerable right about now.
Yeah, a little bit of a whimper at the end from Big. Felt like they kind of deflated that last round after what we saw in the first 2, but still at least they got the 20, and they put themselves in the position where if they can stay on pace with their CT side that we've seen throughout the game, that would be enough to get the win. They got that extra T round, you feel like they really desperately needed. That's what we felt could be the difference maker, and it still does feel that way, but let's see what Heroic can do. Can they do one better than Big and win it on their T side with 3 in a row? Can they at least match them and get us into another overtime? They need to take their time and think about it. Figure out what they can put together. I will say this, like, Big have left themselves vulnerable on that B bomb site several times and have relied on retakes from a man behind to keep them afloat. So I feel like Heroic could look to exploit that vulnerability on the B side of the map unless Big make an adjustment. Because the thing is, when Smoothie was on this team, he was a very B-heavy opper, so he could be really good at kind of stopping B attacks. But Tazzin's been much more prone to float towards A or middle, and that's left B a little bit more vulnerable with Next on the team. So curious to see how that plays out in this OT half.
But not for the first time. God B is going to be taking an AWP over to B.
Okay.
Last time he did it, didn't really have much impact, although to be fair, B wasn't pushed on. He's taking some nade damage. Chip down to 89. Molotov and HE. There's another couple of nades. They're both going to land by the feet of God B and Next, but God B stands tall, delivers the shot onto Stavin. And there's not much in terms of any kind of avenging kill coming into play. Next also maybe not go unchecked. But Heroic, they've seen this story before. They've read this script. Death attack around the back. Godby just stuck in the middle of nowhere. And this is quickly getting a little bit uncomfortable now for Big. Tizian with 1, but has to dart away. Freiburg's been tagged down to just 29. Zentara's trying to spam up through the smoke. We're going to eat the grenade for his trouble. It's chaotic, but it is going to yield a bomb plant for Heroic. Freiburg, though low, is able to make a move behind the site. Now, this is where a lack of Molotovs or HEs is going to be a burden. This is going to be an issue for Big. They do, however, have some smokes and flashes to use. So here come the 2 flashbangs. After the second detonates, they're going to look to push in here. There's one. There's the second. But Santaros goes out too early. And it's a bloodbath. He got flashed off his teammate. And that retake simply falls flat.
Indeed it does. Gabi did well to get that opening kill at the op, but Nex was in prime position to get one himself. He was behind the box. They were looking to pursue Gabi. He was kind of the snake in the grass, but when he finally sprung forward, he was able to get no kills. And that forced a 3-on-3 retake instead of potentially Big having a man advantage on that. So that could have made the world of difference. Now it's all tied up again. Early spam being thrown around at middle. Tizian is able to get up close. Gabi still does have that second op patrolling at B. This time, though, he's fended off with no kills on his way out.
I remember what these teams are playing for. A place at Dallas. The loser of this will be eliminated. There's no more chances. There's no more hopes. No more lifelines. We are going to lose a couple of teams today.
Yeah, for Heroic, they haven't really had very many Tier 1 events, period. And then for Big, I mean, yeah, they just qualified for Sydney. They'd love to add Dallas next to it as another opportunity at a big tournament in their own right after a really rough major.
B really does seem to be the Achilles heel, but God, B there for the first. You've got to expect there's a repeat in. Just survive. Wait for the rest of your team. For one, they line up, but Mertz will smack them down. He's picked up 4 this round. Take nothing away from Mertz, but this is a horrible round for Big. It has to be said. He could be on for the ace. Tabson's going to peek in last. Denies the ace from happening, and Tabson actually in a position where maybe he can pull off this 1v3 clutch now. He's got a kit and he's got a Molotov. Tossing a Molotov to the back of the site and the flashbang. S-Attack's going to have to move. Out into the arms of Tabson. One more to go. Oh my god, what a shot! Tabson's got it done and makes amends for all the mistakes beforehand. Mertz must be devastated.
Oh my god, what a roller coaster ride. You got Mertz pulling off a crazy 2-for-1 shot after a repeat from Gabi on main that was just super questionable, and you think, man, Biggs really tossed this one away. And then Tabson says, oh, Mertz, that nice little collat you had, hold my beer, and I'm going to 1v3 clutch this round and put my team at series point. Unbelievable. Those last two shots were so crisp, man. What we're witnessing some really cool stuff, man.
How many times do we see rounds where the last player doesn't use their utility? And you can see the importance of the flashbang and Molotov that drew S-Attack out into the open. Yeah. That's what made the round a possibility. Take nothing away from Tabson's flick. It was sensational, but the clarity of mind to use your grenades in a pressure situation like that with so much on the line, that's really cool to see. Either way, Tabson is the first player to fall in this one. So it may not be done just yet.
No, not at all. They do get the opening kill on the Heroic side. That round usually could be something like nightmare fuel for Heroic, but they've managed to stay grounded and find the entry in this round and keep themselves in potential to force a third overtime out of this one.
Of course, Big eyeing up the 22 rounds that they require to win this match. That flashbang. Perfect timing. Tizian went peeking. And he will be put down. Stabbing elsewhere. Solid flick by Mertz. And we were wondering, do Heroic have it in their locker to pick up 2 T rounds? Well, the answer, yes. They are
and even after
right
the play
back in.
Tabson just made, on top of it, you go from Tabson clutching a 1v3 to Big getting no kills the following round. That is unreal levels of momentum shift. And so now, indeed, it does go even further. The marathon continues. The race now to 25. Or 24-24, fourth overtime. That's also there. Just letting you know. Also, Vince, been casting for about 10 hours. Chance for a map 3. Still out there.
I can feel that we've been casting 10 hours. My voice is taking a pounding now.
Yeah, it's... I mean, I've been up since 4 in the morning, so, you know, I'm out here. I'm out here struggling. But I have to say, those couple of rounds, with that round with Tabson's op and Mertz's collat, that kind of gave you, like, a little surge of energy, you know? And I feel like it probably does it for both teams. Gotta give a little bit of credit to Heroic for kind of keeping their composure after Tabson's clutch to force a third overtime instead of just kind of falling down and Big taking over. And here we go. Into the wild blue yonder of Cash.
That's the thing. It's just been so back and forth. Both teams have had plenty of match points. Like
the only thing closer to this
has
game
been a fight to the death, man.
The only thing closer than this game is Xantares' face to his monitor. Reference game on point.
Xantares has been putting up some big performances. Tabson gets the better of Freiburg. Duking it out to the bitter end. Both players take significant damage, but it's Tabson that stands with 19. There is the man, Xantares. Claiming the kill onto Blame F. Molotov to the back, but Next still finds a way to get the kill. Big looking clinical here in round 43. And it feels longer than that because we actually went straight from one Cash game into another one. So I think it feels like we've casted Cash like 10 years in a row. Flashbang into peak. Xantares is going to get it done. Bomb gets sprawled out into the open, and it's a clean sweep round for Big.
Indeed. It's like Heroic, you just had a clean sweep round, hold my beer, gonna do the same thing. We've had a couple of those exchanges. It really is going tit for tat at this point. Who's going to run out of steam first? It's now a game of longevity more than anything else. All the playbooks go out the window. Things start getting wild. It's just about stamina now.
Yeah, exactly, like mental fatigue. I mean, you know, we've been casting for 10 hours, but these guys have been playing for 10 hours. No, they've been really going through the motions the entire day. Pretty nuts. S attack with 2. And wouldn't you just know it, when the pendulum looks like it's swinging in Big's favor, Heroic quickly snatch it back. And not letting Big get too far away from them.
Let's see here. Big is a man down right now. A lot of time still left on the clock for Heroic to play around with and manipulate these rotations and leverage that man advantage. They do have a little bit of a lean in Vince and towards B main. The bomb still mid-garage, though. No commitment either direction. Freiburg still kind of just sitting over towards the A side of the map. Just kind of keeping the options open, trying to keep tabs on Big's movements. No cues being given away, though. Very much at a standstill, but it seems like Heroic now want to commit towards the B side. Utility put down, though, to maybe put it to a slowdown, as main has been smoked off by Nex in Heaven. Tabson still has to respect A, which means it's going to be a 4-on-2 take on that B bomb site. Tabson's not even close to rotating yet.
He's not, but he may not be called upon if got B can hold the line. He's got one. Trying to stay alive as long as he can. The IGL so close to flicking across to the 3rd kill. Giving Tabson a chance, though. And with 10 seconds left, they've got to force one of these players onto the site. And that's going to be S-Attack. Kind of unfortunate not to get the kill with that nade. The Molotov may finish him off, though, afterwards. And down he goes. Tabson, does he have another 1v2 clutch in his locker? This time it won't be the AWP, it'll be the AK-47. And it will be Mertz again. These old, bitter enemies on Cash will face off against each other. Mertz, in checkers, watching, anticipating. The play lands it onto Tabson on the cross. And this time he will not be bested by his counterpart. 22 apiece.
Yeah, tough one for Tabson. Many areas to check. I think the bomb was planted default. I'm surprised he didn't tap it. I think he just wanted to try to get the jump on his opponent by sneaking full rather than tapping the bomb and giving his position and timing away. Unfortunately, he just didn't check correctly. Mertz deep into checkers, not an angle that's very common compared to, you know, someone hiding B main or something like that. So just unfortunate guesswork. And so now we're squared up again. 22-22. Counter boost might come into play, but I think Freiburg's wise to it. Indeed, the Molly does come in and force it off.
With it being
lots of damage dealt in that.
Yeah, with it being him that we've got boosted and he was already tagged, that's put him down to 33. And Tizian, I think all that damage is through the wall of Garage. They are just chipping away Xantaras time and time and time again. Eventually, he is going to crack.
Finally, I think they've run out of utility to push him in. And are they still going to expect him to be there after all those nades they tossed in? I mean, that could definitely come into play. The mind games of Xantaras sticking around despite all the damage he's been dealt.
Savin couldn't ask for a freer kill than that onto Tizian. Felt pressured to back away. One is faking as if B-site could be about to be the target for the Danes. But it's going to be A. And Big have 3 players here waiting for the push. Savin, though, going to change his attention coming up through Highway. He's the last remaining T. 25 seconds left for him to try and pull off this 1-on-3. He's already got one, but he's going to get caught from next on Connector. And the call to stack A was a successful one. It was the correct decision. Big lead again going through to the 3rd overtime, halftime as they move on T side.
That got so dicey, man. I mean, all the smokes are coming in, blocking off access to help for the big side, holding it down at the A bomb site. That basically means someone has to make an individual play. And you see CT darting through smokes, trying to catch their opponent off guard, and Tabson comes up with the hat trick. He has delivered so many times this game. That 1v3 clutch is why Big are even still in this map. And then that play to get Big the 1-round lead. He has been worth his weight in gold time and time again in this game. Can they finally finish it, though? Or are we going to see even more rounds? Again, it's the race to 25. Big do have the slight edge in that foot race. But Heroic not too far behind, obviously. Again, T-side has been the issue for both of these teams throughout the entirety of this.
I mean, we've seen almost every iteration of how the overtimes could go so far. It's hard to say what the hell's going to happen.
Except for the winning combination, strangely enough. I haven't seen that one yet.
True. There we go.
Yeah.
Once more into the breach for both teams.
Tabson will op again, but not going for the truck boost. He's looking to do something a little bit quicker towards the A side. Big did get 2 rounds on T last OT half. That wasn't their problem, as it had been through most of the game. So can they keep that pace up? If they can, that would win them the game. That's all they need is 2.
No air of a fake or any kind of pressure on the other side of the map. This is very much centralized on an A hit for Big. Molotov there. Stymie the push. Acting as a wall. Here's Tizian. We've seen him do this many times before. Light gap in that smoke allows him to push through, but the CTs can't see it from their perspective. Frees him up to do a bit of this flirtation. Spamming up through Squeaky, keeping multiple CTs interested. Now the grenades start to fire in. Now they're going to start to pull the trigger on this. Smokes extinguishing Molotovs all around the site. Tizian flash, but so is Stavin. And he finds his man. Bomb going to get planted. Blamef's made moves on to Forklift with his AUG. Going to get 2 as they line up for him. Flashbang on 10x. It's looking good all of a sudden for Heroic. They've also connected a nade onto Quad, and the headshot delivered from Freiburg. They know one of these last 2 remaining players is now Quad. It's all about the second, and it stands to reason he'd be an A main, and Mertz has landed onto Tabson. Was that through smoke? It doesn't matter because Heroic have picked up a 23 rounds. And we are all even once again. There is nothing to determine between these 2 teams.
Man, I was so prepared to just give so much credit to Big's execute. They did so good staggering their utility to where Heroic could never really know for sure if the hit was coming or not, so B could never rotate. And then they did that final push of utility. The incendiaries all over Quad and BK, the push, the initial entry onto the bomb site. Everything was looking so tasty. And then somehow they fumble the ball right as they're about to cross the end zone. An American football reference for those of you Europeans. And it's just the boost at Quad, I don't get it. Like, it's so risky. Like you said, you die, they know one more is there. They don't have to do any more guesswork. You eliminate the options they have to worry about. And now Heroic had the lead in this round as well. Big fighting from behind just to try to pull back ahead. They need, whoever wins this next round at least guarantees another overtime. So a lot of stress on this one.
The odds favored Big to maybe win if either of these teams were, but now that Heroic have put such a good round on the board, they also have the opportunity to strike onto that 25th round. Tentares alongside Tizian taking damage, too much for Tizian to handle. Molotov on Quad allows them to focus their attention towards the forklift side of the site. Zantares gonna get 2, looking for a 3rd. Nearly lands it actually onto Truck, but instead it's Blame F. And here's AUG. It will pierce the smoke and find a kill. Big still have 2 players standing, and both of them are healthy. An AWP in Tabson and an AK for Nex. Nade onto Truck, could do a bit of damage. Actually lands in the face of Mertz. That's gonna yield a bomb plant. All 3 players going to be moving around from Highway and Truck respectively. Next swings out past the Molotov. Claims himself the kill. Taps in against Blame F. First shot goes awry, but the AK's been picked up. But Blame F gonna hold on. Gonna land the kill. And Heroic take another map point for themselves at 24-23 in the lead.
So damn close. Zantares with big frags to get them onto that bomb site. It was looking like that round was going to go the way of Heroic much earlier on. Xanterfis' efforts keep Big in the hunt. It allows the plant some good work with the native Tabson and that spray down from Nex, but still Tabson does fall just short of the finish line in that 1v1 against Blame F. You can't harp on him. He's been such a beast for this team throughout the game. He's had plenty of his clutches. He can't win them all. And now Heroic stand ever closer to staying alive in this tournament on a map 3. Big could still force another set of extra rounds with the victory here. Again, economy not a factor, so everyone's still putting their best foot forward when it comes to utility and firepower. Big, this time, directing their attention pretty early on to mid control. The boost is there. Vince has been spotted by Nex.
Got B, gonna go back in now. Mertz's shot is up. Knows it takes a few seconds to put an extra bullet into the chamber. Oh, what a shot by Xantares. Top of Flame F's head taken off, and Big. It looks like we're heading to another overtime, ladies and gentlemen. This game will not end. Apparently, it will never, ever end. Big gonna tie us up at 24. We're gonna go more rounds.
Oh, man. Yes, we are. Aren't we? Are you not entertained, chat? We have seen it all. We've seen collats. We've seen 1v3 clutches. We've seen some ridiculously bad mistakes. Let's be honest. There's been some negative with the positive. But man, oh man, we have seen play after play, individual effort after individual effort, some good teamwork at times. We've seen Big look sharp and make good executes. We've seen them look hesitant and stumble on their way into a site. We've seen really just the full array of Counter-Strike at this point. Again, it gets to that point in the game where it's a nightmare for the players because they've just been playing for so long and you're running out of ideas. You've tried everything. You feel like coaches are rattling through their notebooks trying to figure out what the hell is left to try. I, as an analyst, can't break down anything anymore because nothing makes sense. It's just wild Counter-Strike. It's at the point now where this game's going to come down to one more set of big plays. It's gonna take a team to win like 2 rounds in a row for some big individual efforts, and that's gonna be the decision maker. It feels like. I feel like strategy's out the window at this point. It's just down to basics and brawling.
I don't know about you, Dust, but I'm absolutely wrecked. So I can't imagine right now.
I am and I'm not, man. I feel like this game, the way that the rounds are going, it kind of gives you that little bit of fuel because we have seen some really cool stuff lately. Like, ever since that Tabson Clutch 4, where we've seen a lot of really cool shots and plays. A lot of tight rounds.
All right, well, here we go. Overtime, what, 4 upon us?
Race
now
to 28. Matt's still good.
Round.
Got it. Yep.
Yep. Moving into round 49 of this map.
It's also like around 233 of cash for us today.
Yeah, it is.
Not hyperbole at all, of course.
Here we go, though. Tabson taking point with his AWP, peering through towards checkers. No one is there.
This is going to be tough because Heroic have really quick rotate positions at middle. 3 players are there, so it's going to be pretty easy for them to go highway and really get some assistance to Freiburg as soon as he needs it. So Big need to be careful. They need to make sure that they have vision on Vince or use some type of utility to block that off and really isolate Freiburg the best way possible. Tizian's at door, but he's not doing anything to hold people in place, so this rotation from Heroic is going to be quite nice.
And what he wants to do is, once the engagement comes in, is to try and catch any A rotators. That's a flash to get some information. They have found it. They saw 1 or 2 players in Sunroom.
Yeah, I don't know if he saw enough to know for sure what this is, but that flank from Stown certainly will, yeah. But he's been caught, and A is still vulnerable. Remember, Tizian's been here the whole time, and Xantares has made his way that direction as well.
But Mertz did land a kill. That was massively important. Xantares with a spray. There's 1 and a second. He is putting down Heroic in their place. And Freiburg, who did rotate over earlier, now has to go back again, do laps of cash. 1 on 3. All 3 players of Big are tagged, but so is Freiburg. No healthy players left on the server. Here's the Walking Dead. Freiburg. He's been slotted by Xantares. Picks up a 3K, and Big off to the races again. with their first round of the overtime.
That in overtime, Xantares and Tabson are taking turns getting multi-frags to keep big going. I mean, I have to give some credit to Tizian, though, that round. Even though he died, he opened up that little bit of breathing room Xantares needed to get into the red box area and jump up and land some of his shots. So good adjustments all around from Big, catching Stound's flank, limiting its impact, and being able to transition to the A-bomb site quite smoothly. That gets them another round on the board. Gets them that one step closer to where they need to be. Gabi going to pick up his SIG. Some nades being thrown outside of A for maybe an A hit. I say maybe because there's so much time left. Who really knows? They could go for late mid-round control after that. Actually, Nex is already out mid, so I'm not really sure what the plan is just yet. Could be a split with Nex coming late up highway.
Okay, but that's not good at all. These are the kind of mistakes that can start to creep in when players get tired. Far too deep. Opening up a gap. Cost Esatag his life. Outright, but there's Mertz. From Forklift. Tizian just closed the door in his Orpa's face, and they haven't checked quad. Flame F gonna get one and a second potentially. No, God B survives on 4. You've got to check quad. And that's a position that players will often be sat in. There's no excuse for it. 40 seconds, and Stavant is making a mockery of this A hit. Heroic. In the 50th round, we'll take their 25th.
That's definitely depressing. I mean, you were doing everything right. Great previous round to transition to A and lock it up. You started that A hit pretty nicely. Good maneuver from Tizian to get into the site, but like you said, just leaving a stone unturned, which was just enough for Heroic to strike back. And so again, we go 1-for-1. Mertz defending B with the AWP. He's found one. He's legged another. Big trying to hunt him down. They do find him, but at a big cost.
Big have also claimed the kill onto Esatag. Molotov forces Starvin out into the open.
What?
Gonna find God B with a nade out. Next couldn't hold on. Another moment of madness. Starvin forced out events. You've got to anticipate if you throw them all in, you could flush the rats out. And you have to be able to deal with them. And of course he peeks again. Goodness. Of course he does. Tabson 4 HP to his name. A minute left to play with. He's trying to play off angles and hoping for the best. He can maybe get this bomb planted to draw out the first player into the open. No! Oh my God, Big! How has Tabson clutched that? Why are they going one by one, Heroic?
Absolute filth. I don't care what you say. Yeah, it was a little bit of an error, but that last shot Tabson hit is absolutely ridiculous. That is unreal. I'm telling you, man, it's literally Tabson and Xantares just taking turns, bro. Like, whose turn is it to go pull off a big play? Is it your turn? Okay, Xantares, have fun getting a 3K on the A bomb site. Next round, oh yeah, I'm gonna 1v3 clutch with an op on a B retake. Cool, man. Xantares gets another big A play. Oh, what's this? Tabson, 4 HP, 1v2? No problem, bro. Hand me that AK. Let me at him. It's actually just absurd. But I don't know how much of this can Heroic really take. How many rounds like that are you going to lose before you just crack, man? Like, you have to respect the composure that we're still even playing Counter-Strike right now.
I mean, that's the thing. As you say, so many of the rounds, on the T side especially, are off the back of just nutty individual plays, whereas Heroic, they haven't really had any. It's just been pretty decent.
Mertz almost had one, and then Tabson just said nah. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. It has been a lot of different methods of winning. But that really is just the wildness of a game that goes this long. You have to kind of throw all logic out the window and expect crazy things to happen.
You kind of feel as well at this stage of the game that it's going to be something like that. It's going to be one individual moment of magnificence that can take a team over the finish line, finally get past the elusive final stretch of cash.
This has been such a hype online game, and it's a lower bracket map too, of all things.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, if Heroic lose from this point, they're out.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, for Heroic, again, they're in a weird spot coming into this. It's a very new team. Again, Blame F, I think, only just joined maybe back in like January or something like that. And he only just recently became the IGL after they rid of Asilian to bring in Stound, which just happened maybe in the last couple of weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Meanwhile, Big have only had this lineup with Nex and Xantares, and at the same time, since like the IEM Sydney online qualifiers and then the major itself, because remember the E-League Invitational, they had Smooya and Xantares. So these are teams that are still very much in transition, trying to stabilize. And that does lead for a wild ride when you're trying to sort things out on the fly, limited practice compared to some of the other teams in this tournament. And then you get a big test like this, where you're going the distance and then some.
Next going back to spawn to pick up on Molotov. And Freiburg playing aggro is going to get not just one, but two. Xantares and Tabson both conga line their way into certain death. And for what? A little bit of information it's not worth.
No. You've got to respect the change of pace attempt to try to make something crazy happen, but it doesn't yield the intended result, and now they are fighting from well behind. Heroic in a 4 versus 2. Bomb not committal just yet. A CT to each site. The big playmakers for Big are already down. It's going to take Nex or Tizian this time for a heroic effort. No pun intended to the team they're against. And Tizian, he might be just the man for the job, does catch Freiburg.
Now that smoke is going to give some information to Heroic that it's going to be a 1-1 stack. They know where the other player is. That's a tag though. Has been tagged down to 3. Can't afford to push. That Molotov will end his life. This is stalling them. This is allowing Tizian to get into position now from heaven. That could be everything for this round. It could be everything for this match. 29 seconds to go. Blame F's going to go for a pop flash. It's decent. Both the CTs are isolated, but both the terrorists are very low. It's going to come down to a 3 HP S attack against Nex. And they've somehow avoided one another, but now it's going to come down to this engagement, and it's going to go the way of Big again. Nex, with his org, will finish off what the rest of his team started.
Oh, man, Nex read that so well, man. What a 1v2 from him. What a 2v4 in total between him and Tizian. Again, we talked about how the two major playmakers, the heroic efforts, have come from Tabson and Xantares time and time again. This time it's the other guys stepping up. What a well-played 2 versus 4 from Tizian and company to pull that one off. And now they need just one, Vince. This is the first time they've been in a 2-round lead in an overtime half. A chance to end it here and now, to stop the madness, to let you go to bed. I'm sure it's waiting for you, Vince. I'm sure you're staring at it from afar, and you're just waiting for the moment that you can step over there. And it could happen right now. Big could do this.
I bet the players are even more so, mate.
Oh, I bet they are too.
They cannot wait to get off this server. They want this done. They want this finished. And Big...
Well, not heroic. They would like them at 3, but yeah.
Sure. But Big want this... one of these 2 next rounds to go their way. Can move forward in the lower brackets. Got beat. Aggression.
Oh,
back onto the site. Did spot one. They may not expect a second player to be in vent either. With the pop of the vent and seeing him sprawl out.
He's mighty vulnerable though, Vince. It's just Tabson with the op and some assistance from Xantares at highway for now. Granted, there are players in vent as you noted, so they could pretty quickly rotate through middle. That's not too bad. Tabson's so aggressive though with this op. He's in A main, I think.
Oh, that Molotov. Hello, guys. Hello. There's a fire there.
Fire burns. It's hot.
They lost so much HP between the 2 of them. Mertz is going to get 1, but the bomb's been dropped out. They have to go behind this. There's a second player there. You must realize if there's a player boosted, there's going to be a second one. Heroic have just had a ridiculous brain fart that's going to cost them this entire match. Blame F with 15 seconds, going to get 1. Doesn't have the time, doesn't have the HP. Big are going to take it 28-25. What a heartbreaking way for Heroic to lose it. And they have been eliminated for the DreamHack Masters Dallas qualifiers.
My goodness, what a game, though. It was certainly a very entertaining run from Heroic against Big in this map, too. A really tight race. Had some other good games throughout the day as well. And as things begin to settle, what we do know for sure is that Heroic is out. So their tournament is done. X3D Max is out. Their event is done. And essentially what we know we're looking forward to is Wendigo playing in the upper bracket finals against Valiance. Wait, no. Avangar? Right. Yeah. I nailed that, right? Help me? Vince, please, do you remember?
I don't know.
It's
man.
Avangar. I'm sorry. I had a little bit of a brain fart. It's Avangar versus Wendigo in the upper bracket final. And then we have G2 and Valiance are still in the hunt. It's going to be G2 versus Hellraisers in the lower bracket, and then Valiance versus Big. So 2 teams gone, 2 teams in the winners finals. We will pick up things again tomorrow, starting at the same time as we did today, which I believe was, 11 a.m. CET? I believe is the official time. So there you go. It'll be me and Vince again, or Vince and I, rather, because that's better English. If you enjoyed the broadcast, please do follow up and tune in tomorrow. You can also give me and Vince and I a follow. I'm going to get it right this time. You can do !casters in chat to get direct links to our Twitter, or followed us at OnFireEvents. If you enjoyed the cast, and let us know. If you didn't, well, keep it to yourself. And we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.